Okay, so now that you've identified which wires do what you're going to want to do is get the wires from your lamp and splice them with the wires from your cord to the wall. Now, of course, you want to check your polarity. The other thing you want to do is find out what gauge of wire you're working with and get the appropriately sized wire nuts. Now, one thing to consider is the wire nuts have instructions. What they're rated for, what type of wire they're listed for, temperature, voltage. Wire nuts are not all the same, and neither is the wire. So you might get by with using the wrong wire nut and never get bit, but you really want to make sure your wire nuts can handle the size of wire, the gauge of wire that you're going to be splicing, and the type of wire. A lot of wire nuts will tell you that they're for copper to copper only, whereas a lot of appliances still use aluminum wire. So you're going to need to get a wire nut that can handle the appropriate type, voltage, and temperature rating. Also, the wire nuts will tell you how far back to strip your wires. And the instructions may be different depending on the gauge and number of wires that you are splicing. So you want to check to be sure that they can splice 2 or 3 or 4 or however many wires that they're listed for that. Another thing you're going to want to do is make sure that when you strip the wires, not only you do it to the right length, but you want to try and do it evenly. You don't want one wire sticking up way past all the others in the wire nut, because then the wire nut won't go down far enough and you may have a very bad connection. As an electrician once told me, what makes electricity dangerous is loose connections. That's what causes a fire. Resistance generates heat, and heat generates a fire, and that's what you don't want. And the looser the connection, the higher the resistance, the higher the heat. Now, in this particular case, this is terrible camera work. I sincerely apologize. But in this particular case, what I want to do is not drop my camera on the floor and wire these together. I've already determined which ones are neutral, which one's hot. Let's see, this one, try and get my wires even. Personally, I find it works better, even though they say you don't have to just twist the wire by hand a little bit before you get the wire nut started. Now, one thing about these wire nuts is, yes, I've hacked them up. Okay. The reason I hack them up is because I'm working with a fixed length of wire. I don't have any more of these push-on connectors, or rather I don't have any of these push-on connectors, and I don't want to have to replace them. Another tip that I find useful is when you've screwed on your wire nut, you don't want to overdo it because you can cut the wire, especially stranded wire. But the other thing you do want to check is you want to just give it a little tug, not a lot, not a manly man tug, but just a light tug, especially if you have more than just the two wires. You may be surprised sometimes and have a wire pop out that wasn't really in there that good. It'll still make a connection and work, but especially on a machine that's going to vibrate, you definitely don't want a loose connection. You just reconnect your wires, and you will have a light that works. Make sure you didn't pull anything loose, since I'm almost out of room on these wires. Cut them too short. Minimize interference. This way. There we go. Those are both in there. Little guards back up. One. Oops. Done that one too many times, starting to split. The little guards are frustrating. There we go. And there it is. Okay. Now let's see. Plug this in without killing myself. And put the light bulb back in. And it works.